A lot of great students, really interesting, exciting things happening, collaborations with arts and animation and drama and all sorts of other great people in the New York area.
And so you've been looking at a whole lot of things inside the university context, but as I was alluding to before, you're also doing things that are kind of outside with startups and interesting things. I see you're wearing today the Hologram t-shirt in real life. Do you want to tell us what that's about?
That's right. That's so-called back there in real life. That's right. In virtual reality, I'm really dressed weirdly because apparently I have a tie, but I never wear ties, so that's how I know none of this is real.
So tell me about Hologram.
Hologram is a sequence of experiments that we've been doing for about 3 years, where we put everybody in a lightweight, untethered headset, and they see other people in the same physical room, in the correct location. And essentially what we're trying to do is prototype the holodeck, or maybe that future where everybody is wearing those lightweight glasses. So I'm not really interested in what most people think of as virtual reality. I'm trying to understand the future of this physical reality when we all can see whatever we want in our everyday lives.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of the holodeck is to have a synthetic environment that seems real. I guess the thing that I'm personally interested in getting humanity into a virtual space, whatever that kind of looks like. And so we're interested in getting whether or not you feel like I'm empathetically, emotionally valid as an avatar, and also, what would we have to do to get further? Because I think that humanity is the thing that we really need to focus on. Would you agree?
Well, I mean, what else is there? I don't know, unless, I guess the welfare of animals.
Well, no, but in the sense that a lot of people have been doing early sort of 360 VR as video, as kind of like travelogues, experiential stuff, which is great, but I feel like interaction is a dimension that's vital, and that interaction you want with people.
Well, I mean, I think people can do whatever they want. If people want to make sand paintings, I'm not going to stop them. I think that's lovely. Sure. But personally, the only thing I'm interested in is what happens between people. I mean, we've always lived in virtual reality. I mean, people talk to each other. I say the word elephant. An elephant shows up in your brain. That's a kind of virtual reality. It's baked into our DNA to be thinking about things that don't exist and then talking to each other about them. I think all we're doing is changing the tools by which we can create those visions. I don't think there's anything radical going on here. It's a natural continuation of the human experience for at least tens of thousands of years and probably much longer.
Okay, but I would say to you that faces are different than elephants. Like, I could see a representation of an elephant, and we're not sort of particularly familiar with an uncanny valley of elephants. That our facial responses is a non-linear response, which I think is probably neurologically based and not even and like sort of at a DNA level. We've evolved to just process faces because it's so important.
Sure, okay, I agree with that. How do you tie that together with what we're talking about?
Well, I just think that if you can't get the expressions of a face, if you can't express yourself properly and you can't use the face as a good way of communicating in whatever environment we're in, then you're missing out on an important dimension, and it's a dimension more than that of just a notional ability to synthesize an experience. You're missing out on an emotional quotient that is, I think, very important.
Sure, of course. I mean, but to be fair, we've had real-time virtual reality over vast distances for about 140 years. There was this idea of the avatar, which is completely invisible. I pick up my electronic device and I communicate and send my essence over the wires, and it is reconstructed in your ear. But you're not thinking, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with a reconstructed avatar of Ken. You're just talking to Ken on the phone. So I think that it's very important to keep in mind that people are very good at reconstructing the people they know and they care about with correct information, even if it's incomplete. What we don't want to do is march boldly into the uncanny valley and start adding information which is too much of the wrong information by going there too soon. I think that the design and what we choose to communicate should always not try to race ahead of what the technology can support in any given year. When I talk to you, I should be seeing a representation of your mind, your personality, your mood, your desires, your intent, our level of trust between us. We should not be relying on some computational hack to put something fake in there, because that will just get in the way of our communication with each other.
So define what you mean by computational hack. Do you mean that my representation to you now is a computational hack, or that if we were doing something to additionally overlay a sort of a meta layer on top of what we're trying to drive with as genuine a fidelity as we can?
Well, for example, right now I'm looking at an extremely good visual representation of your face.
Yeah.
However, it is the case, given 2017 technology, that the movement of your face is lagging behind the visual representation of your face. So the point is that if I am seeing something that tells me subliminally, hey, that's really him, and I am seeing movement that says, oh, that's kind of a fuzzy, cartoony representation of his personality, that's where the uncanny valley comes from. I would actually argue that we would be doing better right now if you were dialed back in your realism, the way, say, the characters in Toy Story are dialed back in realism, as a design decision to properly reflect the limitations on how we can track your facial movement in 2017.
Okay, so what you're saying is, if the uncanny valley has the notion, I'm going to use Tom Hanks as an example, the caricature of Tom Hanks might be a character that's like a cartoon character, like Woody in Toy Story. It's not meant to be a literal translation. And obviously, when he was the conductor on Polar Express, that was a perhaps not successful representation of him. And then obviously, Tom Hanks himself, that most beloved actor of our generation. So you're saying that you think rather than try and be on the real side of that uncanny valley, you'd be better off staying for the time being on the cartoon side?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one can characterize the uncanny valley in a very simple way. It's people know they can do extremely photorealistic rendering and subsurface scattering and polygon count and highlights and all this. We know this. This is easy for us now. It's 2017. And so they race as far as they can with that. But we're still having trouble with motion tracking, reconstruction, the correct movement of muscles in real time. And when there is a mismatch and the appearance is more real than the movement, that subliminally comes across as, you know, Freud's fear of the uncanny. We read that as maybe neurological damage. That makes us uncomfortable. However, if you pull back the photorealism to something more cartoony, if you look like Bugs Bunny, I'd be perfectly okay having a conversation and I wouldn't see any artifacts.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but to pose a counterpoint of view, you wouldn't have much sense of a emotional authenticity of me as Bugs Bunny. Like right now, I have less emotional information being provided to me from your avatar than you do from mine, because the fidelity of my input is higher than yours. So what you're saying is almost like, don't go there until I can get nearly all the way. Plus, I'd also argue with you that the uncanny valley shouldn't be used as a Turing test of matching perfectly someone. We just need to get to a point where the affinity and the realism and the trustworthiness of the avatar is in excess of what you can get from the cartoon character, and out of there fall the valley.
Well, perhaps. I mean, you know, if you smile, that's a highly loaded social expression. And if you were a cartoon character and I just got the indication of a smile, that'd be fine. But if you have your photorealistic face and you're smiling in a way that it's like there's anything wrong with it, or the crinkling around your eyes, suddenly that disparity jumps out at me. So I think it's great that we should get to photorealism. I just think we need to get there along the proper slope. I don't think it's the wrong goal. I just think we need to pick a route that works every step of the way as we understand analysis and synthesis of movement well enough to get closer and closer to that goal.
Well, I would say that I've enjoyed this talk with you tremendously, and I've found the ability to immerse myself in the conversation to be great. I'm certainly not an advocate that more tech equals more presence, but I certainly believe that there is a point where you can be more present with somebody if you have the right circumstances. And I feel like I was able to have a sensible conversation with you today. But apart from anything else, I so respect your work. I so appreciate you coming today. It's been a really great honour to be able to talk to you.
Yeah, and it's great, and this is the first time in virtual reality I've been able to, like, you know, do the whole Richard Nixon thing. So that's very exciting.
Well, what I'm going to do, just to show the audience and remind them we are in real time, I'm going to ask Mission Control to go into debug mode. Ken, you won't see any difference, but they'll see us all in wireframe out the front. We don't do this to jar people in...
I'm going to feel naked.
I actually have a cool mode where I look like I'm in X-Men I'm Storm from X-Men, so there we go. Nice tan.
Oh, nice. I'm just imagining this.
Yes, I'm going back to normal and say, if you want to look to your left and wave.
My left?
Yep, and wave, and I'm going to do the same, and people can take a photo if they want, and if you want to use the hashtag #MeetMike, we'd appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming. We're going to start again.
#MeetMike, hashtag #MeetMike.
We're going to start again in another 5 or 10 minutes, and Ken, thank you so much for being with us, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'd like to talk to Ken, he'll be coming
really
on the stage, your right, and I'll be down this end. Thank you so much, guys, for being with us, and Ken, thank you.
Okay.
See you soon, guys. We'll
Oh,
come
you're
back
quite
in 5
welcome.
minutes.
Bye.